David Montgomery was RB20 going into 2020, finished RB4 in PPR. Similar things happened with James Robinson. Mike Davis came out of nowhere. Even Kareem Hunt finished RB10. That's how you win your league. On the flip side, you had Hilaire as RB5, finished 22. Similar downfalls with James Conner and Melvin Gordon. And we all know what happened with Saquon Barkley and CMC. We're going to dive into some running back sleepers, handcuffs, busts. Right now, we'll be doing sleepers. You should keep an eye out. Put yourself in the best position to win glory in 2021. We're going to stay out of the top 20, obviously, because if you're drafting a top 20 RB, that's going to be most likely your RB2 or better. This will be obviously much more fun to do week to week based on matchups and whatnot. But as you're in your mid to late rounds, filling up your bench or maybe even your fringe starters, everyone will be looking for the obvious handcuffs, the ones on good teams, great running teams, the Pollards, the Madisons, A.J. Dillon. But you may want to key in on some other names that you could stash on your bench and give them the occasional start. So, Mike, I'm going to start with you. Give me two guys that people are sleeping on this year.
Yeah, so I've got a couple guys that I think are definitely worth a pick, even if in the later rounds. So Trey Sermon is going to be my first guy. The Niners running game is just one that you want to be a part of, especially in the division that they're in. The Cardinals don't scare me much. The Seahawks last year were historically bad against the run. And I think Trey Sermon being taken in the fourth round will have a big role. Raheem Mostert, I think both of you guys know I'm a huge fan of his, but the guy's injury prone. You can tell by the way he plays. He's super fast. He runs hard, but he breaks. So Trey Sermon doesn't have that issue. I think he's like 6'1", 215, something like that. Huge dude for a running back. I think as long as Jimmy G stays behind center, Trey Sermon will have a big role in that offense. And the other thing is you look at his playoff schedule. Their playoff schedule, I think after they play the Rams in week 11 or so, is pretty favorable. The second guy that I wanted to bring up was Larry Rountree III for the LA Chargers. Justin Jackson has an injured groin right now. Rountree is listed as the fourth running back in that offense. Obviously, number one's going to be Austin Eckler. But with Jackson hurt, Kelly has not done anything this preseason so far. And when Joshua Kelly did play last year, he was incredibly ineffective. I think he's had 15 rushes for 28 yards so far this year. Kalen Ballage actually took over his spot last year, which isn't usually a good sign. But Larry Rountree right now is RB 89 and ADP 319. So this is probably like last pick of your draft territory, but he's seventh in strength of schedule. Everyone knows that given health, Austin Eckler is going to run that backfield, but Larry Rountree is a great goal line back in an offense that should score a ton this year.
Yeah, Joshua Kelly is who's listed as kind of, he's in that handcuff kind of ADP area where I had to look up Rountree to figure out who exactly he was and where he came from, but that's a good pull. I mean, probably goes undrafted in most leagues, so we'll have to put that in the notes to make sure that if he comes through and he's like, in that RB 30 zone, like that's a pretty good pull.
I might scoop him up just to have a clever name for my fantasy team.
What would that be?
Oh, I don't know yet. I'm just,
Oh, wow. It's Rountree. It's easy to work with.
Exactly. Something will come up.
The word Larry is pretty funny.
Larry.
Yeah. Germs, you got a sleeper in mind?
I do. So my first guy, I'm going to go with Kenyan Drake. This guy, I was really big on him last year. And not that he disappointed, but I think Edmonds kind of, balled out last year and, kind of took a little bit of his, his opportunities. But I like him. I think he's better as like a complementary, role. I still see Jacobs having the bulk load, but it's kind of like I see them abandoning the run more often than their run game being successful, the Raiders. And I think, he'll capitalize on that, being a better pass catcher, running back. His numbers are solid too, man. He had a career. He has a 4.5 yards per carry. You can't ignore stuff like that. And the financials of it, man. He got a 2-year deal. I think 11 million guaranteed. I mean, you don't just give players that kind of money just to be a backup.
Have him sit on the bench, right?
Yeah.
And,
Is this Jacobs' third year or fourth?
third year, I think.
I think it's his third.
Third year.
And you can't ignore his injuries, man. I like Jacobs. I had him last year, but he's real touchdown dependent, kind of.
Yeah. I think Jalen Richards still being there scares me a little bit because he catches a lot of balls for that offense. But yeah, certainly there's a lot of targets to be had in that offense in the passing game and rushing, obviously. So it's a good sleeper and
They're gonna be playing from behind a lot.
probably one of the top handcuffs, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, you can even call him that.
Another guy that has and I guess you could call him a handcuff too, but I got him more as a sleeper just because with the touches that he gets, he's just so efficient, man. It's Nyheim Hines, and I think ADP is like 135, something like that. And just man, he's just extremely efficient. Like 800 plus yards, total yards, 7 touchdowns last year. I think he averaged like 12.1 points, which is solid. 60 receptions. And with him, it's like, Marlon Mack is back. And, Taylor's, obviously the main guy. But sometimes, he's in the slot. Sometimes I even seen highlights of him being out at receivers. So he's a baller, man. It's a guy like that can go to any team. Right now, you have all these teams that are in need of a running back. If I'm, let's see, who's the Rams? If I'm the Jaguars, I'm trying to get a player like Hines, bro, on my team. You know what I'm saying? So he's an asset. He would be an asset to any team. And I think the Colts would be foolish not to use him on the field because he produces.
I couldn't agree more.
They like Hines a lot. Jaguars, I think, tried to get somebody like Hines when they drafted Etienne in the first round.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's some good trade chip right there for the Colts. One of my guys, it's hard to really say he's a sleeper, but technically he is right outside that top 20. He's a RB 25. A nice surprise last year. Of all running backs who played 10 games at least, Gaskin's average was right around RB 10, right behind Eckler, who also played just 10 games, and even in front of Chris Carson. And one of the stats that jumps out at me is the 41 catches out of 47 targets. That's really, really awesome efficiency and volume for a guy who only played 10 games. Malcolm Brown scares me a little bit in that offense because coaches seem to love pounding him 10 times for 10 yards a game. But I think they had an opportunity to bring a guy in like Aaron Jones and a few of the other running back free agents, and Miami didn't do that, or they couldn't. Either way, Gaskin, who looks real good in camp and preseason, in a full season is sure to crack the top 20, in my opinion, with how Miami wants to run that ball in that offense. I think he's got top 12 upside. So I think that's an easy call there. My second sleeper is definitely a sleeper, Melvin Gordon, going off of a whim here, saying that he is going to be the feature back in that offense. That DUI charge was dismissed. If he isn't at least a top handcuff, then I think he's a pretty good sleeper. Final year of that 2-year, $16 million deal. Denver has made some moves in the past few months that signals this is a win now team, seeing as how they didn't choose a, one of these highly touted quarterbacks in the draft. They beefed up that defense. There are carries to be had now that Phillip Lindsay's gone. I think it's a solid running back room with him and Javonte Williams, Royce Freeman, but I think Gordon is that sturdy veteran who, let's not forget, not too long ago was a first or second round pick. I'm not willing to bet the house on this, but I think RB 30, where he's going now, is decent value. I think a lot of people will forget about him, so I think he could fall in your lap in that, mid to late round, and potentially, if he is deemed the starter, even at any point, I think he can get you 15 to 20 touches a game, which is probably a flex play in any offense.
Yeah, it's all about the volume. I think if he can get there with Denver, then yeah, I'm with you. That's an easy flex, RB2 territory. But just seeing what they did with him and Lindsay in the past, and whether like taking Javonte Williams the way that they did this past draft, it was the second round pick. I think it's going to be another committee approach. I think it's more of like that's what I'm feeling for like Jacobs and Drake, like just handing, kind of passing the ball around like Rojo and Fournette kind of deal. I just have a tough time hitching my wagon to either one of those guys because I think that they're both going to be crucial parts of the offense. But if one of them goes down, then you struck gold. So I'm with you.
It's unpredictable at this point. But I think RB 30 for Melvin Gordon, who is a frustrating guy to have because I think most of the time he's drafted pretty high. But at RB 30, in the late rounds when you're looking for handcuffs, like I was trying to think outside the box. There's the obvious handcuff, sleeper, picks, and I'm like 60-40 on this. A part of me says horrible sleeper pick, but a part of me is like, man, if this guy falls a lot, he could end up being a pretty good guy to have.
I actually love it. And I'll tell you guys something right now. I would go Melvin Gordon if he falls in the right spot. I would go for him. And if I have the chance to get Williams, I will get him as a handcuff. So I like the Broncos.
They're going so close together that I think it'll be really hard for the same owner to have both. But hey.